In studio today, we have state representative from our home state of Oklahoma and the Democratic House leader,
Yes.
Cyndi Munson. And let me just tell you something, there aren't that many Democrats in our state. And in an ambitious turn of events, she has decided to throw her hat in the ring and run for governor of one of the most Republican states in the country. Cyndi, welcome to
Thanks
I've
for
Had
having me.
It.
Thank you so much for having me. It's good to see you both
Yeah,
in the flesh.
I know. The last time we saw you was at the DNC in
Yes.
Chicago.
Yeah.
A
A hopeful time.
It
I
was a
so
hopeful
happy.
time. Yes.
My skin looked great.
How
My
do you,
energy was high.
how do you, as a person running for governor, um, address the issues with? I think Donald Trump's approval rating in the state is in the high 60s.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you run in a state that has just capitulated to fascism like that?
Well, I'll say two things give me a path of possibility. First, I'm the first person to represent House District 85 in central Oklahoma City, the first Democrat, not the first person, excuse me. And so I know what it takes to run strong campaigns and get in front of people, even those who very much disagree with you, and talk about the issues they actually care about. The second thing is we have examples. Kansas, just north of us, they have a Democratic governor, very similar demographics and similar makeup of their legislature, and also the state of Kentucky, where you have Andy Beshear as governor. Again, similar demographics, similar makeup of the legislature, and these folks have been able to win as Democrats and stand firm in their values. And so there is a pathway. There are examples out there. And I think what people are missing, and so many who don't actually get on the ground and talk to people, is there is a lot more hope out there, even in rural Oklahoma, when you have face-to-face conversations. And you've seen me out knocking doors and getting face-to-face with people. And I certainly would not be as successful as I have been in the last 10 years that I've been in the legislature if it weren't for those conversations. So it's hard work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of effort. I tell people every day I put in the effort each and every day to make it happen. And so I'm hopeful. And as the Republicans on the other side continue to, bring each other down and figure out who can be the most MAGA, I'll be talking about the issues that Oklahomans actually care about.
Let's get into the nuts and bolts of that, because when I see a lot of Democrats on the national scene right now, and I'm talking about Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer, they are beholden by the same lobbyists that are also donors to MAGA.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a Democrat in a deeply red state, a lot of these MAGA policies are going to start eroding the quality of life of so many Oklahomans. And it's going to make them realize that they had taken for granted the services that government provides, that they were indoctrinated to believe were somehow controlling them. And once these services start eroding, then we have to look to candidates that can deliver on promises. What is your position on taking money from super PACs?
Well, we're already seeing that happen in Oklahoma. We're 50th in the nation for education. We're nearly at the bottom for healthcare. There is not true economic prosperity in this state, and that's because Republicans have been in control for nearly 2 decades. When it comes to, I have never been persuaded by a single dollar that has been contributed to me to make decisions on behalf of my constituents. And that's because I do the work. I actually get down and talk to people. I earn my job based on the people who can put me there, which is voters. Any dollar that comes into my campaign, I think about morally and with my own integrity, what fits and aligns with my values. Even as a state representative, I have rejected dollars from PACs and individuals who I say, this just does not align with who I am as a person and what I stand up for. And so I have to send those monies back. Already in my campaign, we're more focused on individual donors and people across the state and quite frankly, across the country. I'm very grateful that people across the country are looking to invest in Oklahoma, but really in the state of Oklahoma, everyday people who are giving $5, $7 a month, $25 a month, of course, larger donations too, but those grassroots efforts are what you see. And you see leaders at a national level who stay in integrity with who they are as a person and everyday people's needs, because they are not persuaded by big dollar donors. And you can do that when you actually do the work and talk to people.
Okay, so you're in Oklahoma, which is Oklahoma City, Tulsa, you'll probably do great there. But when you go into the rural parts of the state, now they're closing hospitals. We are 50th in education. What my question is, are those people feeling the results of Trump policies yet? Because I know he put some policies that don't come till after the midterms, but are they feeling the tariffs and the economic impact of what he is doing with America?
Yeah, as I've traveled the state of Oklahoma, and of course I have to get outside of Oklahoma City and Tulsa, and I'm from Southwest Oklahoma. So it is important to me to travel across the state, and I will go to all 77 counties. The communities that I have gone into, which bring out quite a big group of people, predominantly women who are upset and frustrated, people who sat on the sidelines for a little bit too long. They are worried about education, but the number one issue that they have most concern is healthcare. They are fully aware of what is going to happen when these Medicaid cuts hit, because hospitals are already putting out a warning. They have to start financially planning. When there's hundreds of millions of dollars being cut, what is that going to look like for the future? They were planning for, their hospital systems had been planning for how do we get to 35th in the nation for healthcare outcomes versus where we are today. But that takes money and it takes resources to do that. And so since they already see those cuts happening, they have to start pulling back now. In Oklahoma, Medicaid expansion happened in 2020, but not because of those who are in power, who are making decisions on behalf of each and every one of us. The people decided to expand Medicaid. So what Republicans are saying is, we don't care what you want and what you've done and the effort you put in to expand Medicaid and ensure people in your community have access to healthcare. We're cutting all of that. So there was hope there in the last 5 years here in Oklahoma to make that happen. And now to know that those doors will shutter, those services will end, there is a deep fear, not just for themselves, but how they take care of their family members. And how do you bring jobs to rural Oklahoma or the state of Oklahoma? We've been rejected more times than once. We're in this dysfunctional relationship with these corporations to bring them here, to bring high paying jobs with good benefits, because we say, we'll give you all our tax dollars. And they say, well, that's not good enough, because business leaders tell us you have to invest in people when it comes to education, healthcare, and you don't do that.
So Republican supermajorities have driven Oklahoma to a bottom five state. And we've had these Republican supermajorities, all through the Bible Belt. And you see it really, really distinctly in Oklahoma. In my opinion, governors like Kevin Stitt and politicians like Ryan Walters weaponize the faith of Christianity against the people in these rural areas to care about, hey, I'm not going to get you anything you need right now, but I'm going to scapegoat these trans people and I'm going to scapegoat these immigrants, and that's why you can't have nice stuff. This is a very religious state. Mm-hmm. I'm not a religious person, but I find it so insidious and dangerous that these politicians like Kevin Stitt, who's a total charlatan, a complete hypocrite in his faith, uses the faith of these people in rural Oklahoma that have no social life outside of their churches. And he Christian signals and he Jesus signals. And he says, things like the Lord this and Jesus that. Meanwhile, he is demonizing the poor and helping the rich accumulate more wealth. He is demonizing homeless people. I think he recently was on record calling somebody who cared about homeless people a goody two shoes or something to that extent. I personally am so sick of religion being in politics, but you're in Oklahoma politics and it is just such a huge part. How do you speak to these very, very religious people in rural Oklahoma who have been lied to and have had their faith weaponized against them? And it has led them to being basically a bottom five state, which I think is really the most diabolical thing that the Republican Party does.
Yeah, that's probably been one of the more difficult things I've had to face in politics. And it's not just with people in their communities, it's with my colleagues, weaponizing the Bible, weaponizing Bible verses to justify child abuse, to justify women who are raped, to justify things that are horrific, that I think on a human level, regardless of what your religion is or where you live, you would never stand for. And so it's my job, and it's always been important to me to just show up where people don't expect me to be. A young Democratic woman who's Asian American, who has stances on issues and predominantly social and cultural issues that maybe folks don't share with me, to show I'm just like you. I'm a human being, you're a human being. Let's talk about the things that actually matter. And why I decided to run for governor, what I think is so important, especially for Democrats who are running in 2026, and what my job is every day, is to speak truth to these issues and to show up. Even if you're a little afraid, or you're going to be rejected because of your ideas or what your stances are. Because I think what people are actually craving, what they need is authenticity. They need to see people who are standing firm in their truth and what they believe is right. And they need to hear that because of these things, because we're at each other's throats, because we're demonizing each other, these people who, and quite frankly, politicians and my opponents on the other side of the aisle, they pander to protect their power. That's it.
Totally.
If you and I are at each other's throats, we're not going to talk about education. We're not going to talk about reproductive health care. We're not going to talk about healthcare access just in general. We're not going to talk about that we're not raising the minimum wage, that you and I are working 2 or 3 jobs and we can barely pay our rent.
Well,
Who should we be mad at, each other or them?
I think one thing the Republican Party has been so successful at is convincing people that make $50,000-$70,000 a year to fight for billionaires and not for themselves. So how do you barnstorm the state and message in a very simple way, that your opponents, whoever comes out of the Republican primary, and I'm sure they're just going to be horrific just based on geography and my lifetime here. How do you message simply, a simple democratic message, that these people are lying to you and they are only helping the billionaire class and they are not going to help you? How do you message that?
I think you're doing it now. It's just we have to keep pointing to where we are, and you have to be persistent. And I feel like right now it is face-to-face conversation. It is the harder, more difficult work. There is not a simple solution. But I think once we get closer to election day and we see who ends up actually being my opponent, there's going to be a clear contrast. And the message I've sent out so far is I am a normal person, just like you. Let's get back to being normal and what it's like to actually live in this state and the challenges that we're facing. And I have had Republicans in rural Oklahoma. I go to these fairs, I go to all sorts of things. I'm used to just give me a list and let me knock a lot of doors. And I am still knocking doors to an extent, versus go to a county fair and just walk up to people, probably people who don't want to talk to me, And I've had Republican men who have said, I have never seen a Democrat show up in this part of my community, or, good for you for being brave enough and courageous enough. I haven't even seen a Republican show up yet. So they understand. I think there is a level of understanding of people who've been taken for granted.
Do you think that's a good message to rural Oklahomans, that the Republican Party has taken you for granted and taken advantage of you and weaponized your faith against you all of this time because they know that all they have to do is Christian signal and you're going to go vote for them?
Yes. And it's my job to listen to where is that fear coming from? What is it that
I can tell you? Yeah, it's Fox News.
Yeah. Well, yes. But I mean, in terms of their own livelihood, and they think about themselves. And another message I've sent to people, especially Democrats, and a lot of our issue here is I'm going to get Republicans who vote for me. I have had that happen. People will cross over because a good chunk of registered Republicans aren't actually Republicans in this state. They just do that because they think they can influence a primary, because we have a closed primary system here in Oklahoma. But there have been thousands of Democrats and independents who have sat on the sideline, who are not voting consistently. And my message to them is, do you believe you deserve better? First, as an individual, do you believe you deserve better than living in a state that's 50th in the country for public education, when, by the way, it doesn't have to be this way, and that you don't have access to health care? As a woman, if you care about reproductive health care, you care about motherhood, even if you're pro-life, if you consider yourself pro-life, don't you think you should have access to health care?
I want to advise you, unsolicited. The best way for you to do this is to just go barnstorm and say, they have been lying to you for decades, and the proof is in the pudding. Attack first and then talk about what you can do later. But we're in a post-Trump era, and you have got to immediately define these people. They have lied to Oklahomans for over 20 years, and they have not delivered. They have lied to them. They have weaponized their face, and you've got to go pit bull. You got to go full tilt pit bull. And then once you get them in, you can talk about the important things that we're doing. But in this post-Trump America, everybody, it's what is going to get their attention first. Nobody likes a fucking liar. Nobody does. And Oklahomans have been lied to by their hypocrite Christian governor, Kevin Stitt, this freak show school superintendent, Ryan Walters, and they get lied to every single day. And that is the biggest crime of what the Republican Party has done to people in Oklahoma. And I think you've got to get, I like how your policy stuff is, but we're in this, people are just, you've got to be a pit bull. You got to go after them because they have done Oklahomans dirty. They have done us so dirty. It is a travesty how indoctrinated the people in the state are to believe that those politicians actually care about them.
And that's a lot of where my conviction comes from, is that you hear statistics, and those are numbers and data, but when you're on the ground and you see people truly struggling, it should make you angry, and it does make me angry. And you're right. There's nothing, you're right. People don't like liars. and to be somebody who's compassionate towards people, to see that people who are vulnerable, who deserve, our children, elderly, I mean, people that they say they care about, veterans. My dad's a veteran. He struggles a lot in different areas, and we could be doing more, and we don't.
With regards to like immigration, I think that people in rural counties and suburban counties, you can say, some immigrants, these are good people. These are good family people. Does your faith instruct you to demean them the way Kevin Stitt and Ryan Walters want you to? Is that what your faith instructs you to do? I think if you go there, Cyndi, you got to go in, call them liars, tell them how they've used their faith against them, and just go tear it up. Just go turn the whole thing upside down, because that's the only way a Democrat is going to win in this state, is I think you've got to call out every single one of them. What do you think, Pumps?
Well, I completely agree. But I just think when Brad Henry was governor, how many years ago was that? Two-term governor,
Only
Democrat.
2 governors ago, by the way. Two governors ago.
16 years. Our education was higher.
I think we were 12th or 16th.
Yes.
Or something.
I mean, everything was, I think, above 25 in all the statistics. And now we are 45 plus.
Exactly.
In every statistic. And we have a
because
Republican.
Oklahomans have been lied to.
That's right.
They have been manipulated and lied to by these corporate-owned fake Christian politicians. And I'm telling you, that shit, Cyndi, in my opinion, that's what gets people motivated. Because I wish that you could say, hi, my name is Cyndi, and I'm going to deliver healthcare and bring education up. People do care about that, but we have to address how this state got here. And it got here by lying politicians and the people that are running on the Republican side. These people are the same diabolical, pathological liars that Trump and Kevin Stitt and Ryan Walters are. These people are liars. All of them, every single one of them, ass kissers to a man that doesn't give a shit about the country. It's crazy.
Well, and the constant tax cuts, to your point, I mean, they've only helped the wealthiest in this state. And we've cut taxes for the wealthiest. We've cut taxes corporations, and by we Republicans, Democrats have not joined in on that effort. And our rankings are because of lack of investment. So, and that goes back to what I said. We stay at each other's throats, and we're not paying attention to the actual things that are happening to people. And they want to give us some kind of, like you said, scapegoat or group to point fingers and blame, when really it's them. These people have the most power. They have power to transform people's lives, and they choose not to. And I've been in the fight for a decade, over a decade.
Look at what they've done with their power. They have taken our state, as she said, when we had a Democratic governor, Brad Henry, and now we are at the very bottom. But all Kevin Stitt has to do is get out and Christian signal. And then it provides cover. He has to mention the Lord. And that is just so insidious and so diabolical to weaponize people's faith against them. And you talked about Andy Brashear. He actually was in Oklahoma and came to this studio and filmed with us. And I thought it was really interesting that Andy Brashear, he's won 2 terms, and he has refused to throw any marginalized group under the bus because his faith instructs him not to do that, not to bully people, but just to spread love. And I think that message of, number one, combining you have been lied to. Kevin Stitt's a liar, and you have to call it out. Kevin Stitt is a liar. Simple. Like make America great again. It's simple messaging. You've got to call it out. MAGA has been lying to you. Combined with, why has the faith of Christianity gotten so toxic? Aren't we supposed to cruel? Aren't we supposed to embrace each other? Another interesting point, a final question that just kills me about Oklahoma is we fell prey to right-wing extremism. And yet the state still votes for politicians that have no problem pardoning right-wing extremists. And I wonder, where is the lesson in that? We saw a fireman pick up a baby that was bombed in the federal building by a right-wing extremist named Timothy McVeigh. And all these little kids died. And you would think that our state would be the leader against right-wing extremism. Yet this electorate continues to vote for a political party that placates and nourishes and feeds right-wing extremism.
Yeah, it is one of the more confusing, because no one knows better. No one knows domestic terrorism better than Oklahomans. And it is heartbreaking. But I'll tell you this. I think what it comes down to, and again, all my years campaigning and doing the work that I have done, there has to be an alternative. There has to be a choice. And I think that that's what has been missing. And that's why you see low voter participation and things going the way that they are, because you don't have people on either side many times talking about what Oklahomans actually care about. So it's easy to get distracted with some of this more extreme stuff. I mean, where are people spending a majority of their time throughout the day? It's on that dang phone, scrolling. Yeah. And I tell people this all the time, and we're talking about more with recent events on a national level, but nothing makes more money than rage. Stay angry at each other. So you'll keep clicking on these things and you'll make your comments and you'll go after your neighbors, your family members. It's ridiculous. And so I am doing the hard and important work. And many candidates are across the country and even in the state of Oklahoma. And I think a lot of times people take Democrats in states where Republicans are in the supermajority granted. We're doing some of the most difficult.
Oh, totally.
We're standing up against the most extreme policies. And then we go back out in our communities and we talk about it and then we get reelected. And so that is what keeps me passionate about being in politics and being proud to be a Democrat and standing up for my values.
You're really in the trenches.
I am.
I mean, Cyndi, truly, it is a profile in courage to go to the state legislator every day, because those people are unhinged. That's where one of the most recent, I saw a state representative wants to demand that every Oklahoma university put a Charlie Kirk statue up. And let's be clear, I oppose gun violence. What I witnessed was terrible, but to demand that we memorialize a racist where a lot of African Americans, Asian Americans, Native Americans are going to go to school is just an overreach. And when I read into this, colleague of yours, of course, he promoted or voted for a bill where parents could abuse their physically disabled child. Right. And so that surprised me zero, that he traffics in cruelty and not compassion. And that's the fundamental problem I have with all of these Oklahoma Republican politicians is they traffic in cruelty and they're liars. They lie, and they refuse to tell people that are making under $100,000 a year why they can't get ahead. Right. And why they can't get ahead is because all of those lying Christian Republicans only vote to help the wealthiest in the state, which are all these oil and gas companies.
Well, and then to cut programs and cut services that are so vital to keeping people healthy and having a high quality of life. And Oklahoma, we do not tax at a high rate. We are in many senses affordable, but at the same time, we are being deprived of things that are so important in order for us to succeed and to prosper.
And the corporate tax loopholes in this state for oil and gas companies really are something that help defund education extensively, because you have these, companies that have record profits, even in a dip in oil and gas. And it's it's so immoral. And when I think about the state, the people that I love here are so wonderful. But when I think about what the politicians do and weaponize and lie, it makes me really, really sick. And so it's so important that you're fighting for it. I wish you the best, but I have become very disenchanted with the electorate here, because it feels like they vote for cruelty over compassion, and they vote for money over kindness over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I hope that me being here, and thank you for having me, brings some level of hope and optimism.
It does,
because
Cyndi.
somebody has to do the work, and it is hard, like I said. And people like to tell me all the time that I can't win and I can't do this, and God bless you and bless your heart, and and I hear that. I think the reason why I can bring a different level of belief in the possibility that people will show up and things can change is because I hear the stories. I talk to people face to face, and it is my job to build a very strong campaign and to be out there every day doing the work to make it happen. And it's a lot of pressure. There's a lot going on in the world, but I get up every day committed to making Oklahoma better, because I was able to go to a great public school in Lawton. I was able to go to college because of Oklahoma's promise. My mom is from Seoul, South Korea. My dad was in the military. Neither one of them have a college education. I'm the first in my family to go to college. I'm the first Asian American woman elected to the legislature. These are all things that I should not be doing. I walk into a building every day that I am not meant to be in, but I make a way. And I believe that we can get back to that place. Little Cindys across the state who are just like me, who dreamed of having some kind of like great life, influencing people. I had no idea I'd be a state representative or I'd run for governor someday. But everyone should have that hope and possibility, regardless of where they live and regardless who they vote for. I have a lot of Trump Munson voters in my district. It's interesting. One of them,
Really?
my dad. But it happens. And so it takes work. It takes organization. And I know you have a lot of folks who listen in who are not from Oklahoma, who are probably also like, okay, yeah, whatever. But I think if you care about education, you care about healthcare, especially reproductive healthcare, you care about economic prosperity, you have to care about Oklahoma. You have to care about the child who's going to a school that's under-resourced when it does not have to be. A woman who is probably going to die because she doesn't have abortion access in Oklahoma for something. Maybe she wanted that pregnancy and she wants a healthy baby, but her pregnancy is not going
Cyndi,
in that
I
way.
love
You
all
have
this
to
stuff, but I'm
care.
telling you, you have to tell them the reason they don't have that
Yeah.
stuff is because the Republicans have been lying to you.
What,
That's how that has been pitched. What's her name? Joy. She ran on all
Hostetler.
that. You've got to tell them the reason you can't have nice things in this state is because they've been lying to you for 2 decades. You have to pound them.
Yes.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. What I'm saying is those who have disbelief, who think it's not possible, and it's mostly people on our side, that you're going to have to start believing. You're going to have some level of optimism and get away from the pessimism. They're banking on us not believing in ourselves and not showing up. That's how they win. And I tell people that all across the state. If you care and you sit on the sideline, you let them win. You have that mentality that a Democrat can't win, that nothing can change. You're letting them win. They love that. They love that. The problem is Cyndi Munson believes more than anybody else. And I wake up like that every day, and people probably think I'm crazy. And maybe I am. I don't know. But
We're crazy too.
yeah, crazy enough to believe it can happen. And I'm doing the work, and I just need people to come alongside me to make it happen.
Well, we'll help you.
Thank you.
I
I need that.
have to say, I have been involved in hosting fundraisers and voting for politicians in Oklahoma so much, and they always lose. And they roll out a Republican light platform.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we will not be doing that.
And
We have not done
and
that.
it doesn't resolve
Does not work.
anything. It doesn't work, and it feels inauthentic. And so, you guys, I just want to tell you, the first time I ever met Cyndi, I live in her district. She knocked on my door.
That's right.
And that's the very first time I met her. So she really does put in the work. She really does care. And I want to be your stealth advisor. You have to go after the liars, Cyndi. I'm telling you, they have been lying to Oklahomans for decades now. And the results are in.
Yeah,
And
they
we're
are.
dead last.
The results are in.
We're
And-
dead in because they're pathological liars. All your coworkers at Congress, they're pathological liars. They are.
Well,
No one knows that more than her.
yeah, yeah, I live it.
Yeah.
But no, you're right.
All right, tell our listener,
You're
okay,
right.
listen, if you want to help Cyndi, what's your website?
CyndiMunson.com, and it's CYNDI. Everyone gets caught up on Munson. I'm like, it's actually Cyndi. That's where the
Right.
But just CyndiMunson.com, Cyndi Munson. Okay, all of my social media handles. But yeah, get involved. All hands on deck. I tell everybody, you got to get in the game. If you want things to change, you cannot just hope and pray Cyndi does it. You got to get involved, and that means your money and your time and your efforts, your belief system's got to shift a little
I'm
bit.
in, as long as you call them all liars. I'm in.
You got it.
All right. All right. We'll see you all later.